Good morning on Wednesday, February 7th. It's episode 352 of the 359 podcast. I'm BVG, and your hosts today are Ben Fox Rubin and Roger Chang. What's up, guys?
Good morning. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Very calm
Very
opening.
Calm and collected, yes.
Yeah.
I'm in a mellow zen state after watching history get made yesterday, which we'll be talking about
We
later.
will be talking about that. And the nice little Hitchhiker's Guide reference that was thrown into the little car. I'll talk about it on the show.
So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is there still a live shot of Starman somewhere in outer space?
Is
Is
the live feed still going on?
Yeah. I mean, it was last night.
It was
and
last night, yeah.
There were over 100,000 people watching it,
So
check it out.
As you can figure out, we're going to be talking about the SpaceX launch. We'll also be talking about wireless charging and how it's going to get a lot better. And then lastly, we'll talk about Uber and Waymo, Waymo's Alphabet's self-driving car unit and the ongoing legal battle. And good old Travis Kalanick making headlines again. So
That's not the name you used for him earlier.
good old.
That's Starman right there. Live feed.
No, that's
That's
an
a
ad.
recipe.
You're showing an ad.
Oh, come on, you
Skip
two.
ad.
And
dude.
there goes the
I
conflict of
did
interest.
skip.
I know. Oh, there's
There
Starman.
it is. There's Starman.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, let's get
Okay.
on with the show.
All right, let's do it. As always, if you have any questions about these topics, leave them in the comment section. Brian will pick out the best, and we will get to them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
From 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
Do you have an iPhone 8 or an iPhone X and have tried out the wireless charging on it? Chances are you might have been a little disappointed. It's a little slow. You can't exactly top off the battery quickly. But the good news is it's going to get a lot better. Our own Jessica Dolcourt breaks down some of the advancements coming into wireless charging over the next year, from faster charge-up times to potentially sending power over the air.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, you don't have a... Do you have a phone with a wireless charging capability, right? Your Samsung phone.
Yeah, the S8.
Do you use it?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Because it came with a quick charge thing, and that works pretty well for me already.
And it's oftentimes much more effective than wireless charging, right?
Yeah. I mean, they have the wireless charge thing, and it costs something like $30, but
Right.
I didn't really have much of a need for it, right? Because the quick charge works pretty well already.
Yeah, that's sort of the issue. And I think, especially for, iPhone users who've been excited about wireless charging, just to realize, you put this thing down your pad and, it takes hours to get a meaningful charge on
Seriously?
that phone. Oh, yeah. And that's because, Apple's jumping into this a little bit late there, but the standards have sort of not been finalized to the point where they're allowing for faster charging. That's going to come soon.
So do you need to get AirPower, like the new Apple AirPower?
Exactly.
thing for that
AirPower
to
is
work?
supposed to work with a faster standard. That's not coming out for a while. They haven't really talked about when it's going to come out. But there's that. I think the future, though, is way more exciting. The idea of being able to broadcast power over the air.
Yeah.
So you walk into this room, and all of a sudden your phone or your speakers start charging wirelessly.
Yeah, that being said, that has been a long promised thing in tech, and I'll believe it when I see it. Obviously, there are a handful of startups that are working on this technology already. I mean, technically you could do this at your house right now, but it's still a little bit, it's not that good.
I think the one reason we're optimistic is that the FCC has approved this. Look, there's actually approvals, and there are companies who are fully backed, have a lot of funding, who are able to kind of invest in this area. It's not going to go with phone. You're not going to see it in your phone right away, but I can imagine smaller devices like headphones are going to get that capability sooner rather than later. It's not just a pipe dream. So next up, we want to talk about the SpaceX Falcon Heavy launch. Congrats to Elon Musk for successfully launching the most powerful rocket since the Saturn V in 1967. And the capper, he attached a astronaut dummy driving a Tesla onto the rocket. You can actually see Starman via live feed. And there's this great Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference right on the dashboard. It says, "Don't panic."
Mm-hmm.
Love that. If you're a big Douglas Adams fan, you can really appreciate that. But
while this was going on live, there were a handful of people watching this in the office, and I was kind of like, whatever, not interested. But then I kind of got curious and checked it out later. It was really cool.
Yeah.
There were the side boosters that then simultaneously landed at the same time, and there were a lot of people on Twitter talking about NASA used to do this. We were so proud of the space mission. So there's all this camaraderie around space and the glories of it.
just a note, the event was the second biggest live stream in YouTube's history with over 2.3 million concurrent views. All right, lastly, former Uber CEO Travis Kalanick is back in the headlines. He took the stand in day 2 of the Uber-Waymo trial over self-driving car technology. One damning email noted that he'd requested, or Uber had requested, data, roadmaps, and a pound of flesh.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say. And when asked what he meant, he couldn't really remember.
He said I used that term a lot,
Yeah,
which maybe you should remove
own issue.
that. You should remove that from your dictionary.
And on a related note, check out Ken Sherman's feature on the knowledge. This is the special test that drivers have to take in order to drive a black cab in London. Basically, you're supposed to be able to drive or navigate without a map or GPS from one point to another in anywhere in central London. And it takes years to learn, and these drivers say that it gives them better insight into getting around the city than a GPS. For these stories and more, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
Thanks for listening.
All right, thanks everybody for sitting through the recording of the audio podcast. You can download that later. For now, I'm going to go ahead and jump back into the chat and start fishing out some of your best comments and questions about the historical day, about wireless charging. So actually, when you were talking about that, there was a video playing that we had surfaced from CES this year, and I don't remember the name of that company, but that's that broadcast power we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Do you recall what that is? Can you expand a little bit more? Because seeing it in action was totally badass.
There are a couple of companies doing this. I'm not sure specifically which company you're referring to. I know Energis is one of them. That they're trying to do sort of the idea is like you'd have it works almost like a wireless modem. You'd have like a central modem, either sitting on a table, mounted on the wall or the ceiling, and
it just sends
out
charging
signals
signal.
like Wi-Fi, but it's power.
Do want. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, you do want.
I do want it.
Yeah,
yes.
the 3 companies that Jessica mentioned in her story are Asaya, Energis, which you mentioned, and PowerCast.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently PowerCast was the furthest along in development, and they're the ones that got the FCC approval.
Got it, yep.
Obviously, FCC approval, in my perspective, is really important because, this is a brand new technology, and I think a lot of people are obviously concerned about health risk when it relates to shooting power over the air, like electricity and whatever. So
their argument is this is no more dangerous than Wi-Fi signals, essentially. That said, it is kind of freaky, the idea like power is going through your body, and the health risk that might theoretically pose.
Yeah, it depends how people really look at it. If they look at it as something completely new and different, or they look at it as similar to your cell phone, which is sending and receiving data and signals all the time. So
it's important to note that you're not just like wireless charging on your wireless pad right now. It's pretty slow. Like this kind of over-the-air wireless charging would be super slow because they broadcasting more power than just sort of like a little bit of a trickle would be dangerous.
So you're saying that I don't walk into a room and literally a lightning bolt shoots into my phone?
A physical lightning bolt, yes. It shocked you so much you had to hit that mic.
That's how it works.
Wow, that's dramatic. No, the term is called trickle charge. The idea is like you're just there all the time, right? It doesn't matter where your phone is. It's just constantly getting it.
And the phone is smart enough to know when it's already been topped off.
Yes.
So it's not trying to give more charge than your phone actually
needs. And in terms of the sort of the early applications of this, I've been told like things like wireless headphones, hearing aids, devices that are kind of small that's tough to charge but requires constant charge. That would benefit the most from charging.
So one of the ones that I thought of that I didn't get to mention this during the podcast is like different IoT sensors that you might have around in the house that might actually be embedded in the wall that can't actually you wouldn't be able to easily change the battery at all. Whether it's up on the ceiling or inside the wall, something like that. And depending on what different types of sensors you have in your house, this is something that could actually ensure that the battery will just stay charged.
Yep. Same with wireless speakers, right? Like with an Echo speaker. Imagine if it was getting a wireless charge from just something broadcast from the room. You can move it anywhere. There's literally no wires connected to that thing anymore, right?
That is interesting.
So, elephant in the room, Matthew Datcher points out, have we heard from the hippies about how terrible wireless power is? Now, I wouldn't use language maybe that accusatory, but
damn hippies.
Elephant in the room.
Yeah.
How long until we find out there's some dangers associated with this?
That's why I think the FCC approval was so important, because they've done some of their due diligence. Now,
but things change.
Things
Circumstances
change.
change.
Obviously-
The FCC has been wrong in the past.
right, for
And you
sure.
need to do
for sure.
long-term health studies for any type of
Absolutely.
things like this.
But
That
it
being
sounds like
said,
they have their eyes on this, ears to the ground concurrently, because this is a weird kind of risky situation.
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's an area that's going to get a lot of scrutiny. I would argue more scrutiny than normal because it is such a freaky concept. I think a lot of people are going to want to take a really close look at what those potential risks are.
Yeah, I agree. And it's if you convey to people in the right way that it's a very low amount of power that's being fed through and relate it to something else in their life. I mean, like everybody knows radio waves are all over the place.
Right.
Radio waves, Wi-Fi waves, Bluetooth
I think
waves.
that's the analogy that I keep getting or I'm hearing from folks in the industry. Like it's basically like Wi-Fi. If you're comfortable with Wi-Fi signals going through the room, going through your body, then this is the same. This is basically akin to that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have like a layman's chart to explain that to me because I'm not a physicist
Right.
to understand how power is related to
How power gets
Wi-Fi.
converted into airwaves.
Yeah, essentially.
I'm not really sure how. I think it's magic. It might be sorcery. It does sound like that, right? When you talk to people about it, I mean, just the idea that like power gets transmitted over the air, that seems like kind of unbelievable if you really kind of break it down.
Well, manufactured power. In the past, we've been able to convert things like solar and
but
kinetic
actually taking power in one place and then moving it to another
it
over
is
the
a
air.
fascinating concept.
Yeah,
And
like
it's-
one other. So this would be really far out there, but there is a company. I think it's called Solar something or other. Solar Roads. They basically turn the roads into solar panels. The concept of having an electric vehicle that could then be charged by the road while it's driving,
Right.
Yep.
could significantly increase the mileage for one of those cars.
In a similar application, and as we talk about that toss-up between, keeping it at a low power, low wattage so that it's less dangerous and how much that is the toss-up. He's like, well, is it charging anything worthwhile? Sernjoy points out, what about drones? Like as of right now, that could be a good petri dish to test out low power transmission before you apply it to something like a full passenger vehicle.
I would say that's a little bit tough because how do you get that, especially with drones moving all over the place?
I don't know.
How do you direct the power to that drone, right? Like
You
that's
use-
open air. That's way different.
HomePod technology where it directs the music.
Beamforming.
It beamforms the
Beamforms
music.
that Wi-Fi or that power, right?
Calling it
Well,
right
that's
now,
the
2019 buzzword, beamform power.
Beamform power.
Ooh,
Again,
I like
this
it.
stuff. This stuff is all. A lot of this is like wish list, kooky stuff. But we'll see what's possible. I mean, like if they do end up creating a lot of movement with this, it is really interesting to think of what could actually be possible with this type of technology.
So there's a recurring name in the chat right now. You might have heard of him, Nikola Tesla. They say this is all his dream coming true. I like that Imagine Sagi said, didn't Tesla want to give this to us a long time ago? It should be fine. Nikola Tesla also tried to invent the earthquake machine. Just pointing that out to everybody.
Whoa.
If we recall that little bit of history.
No, I didn't even know that.
Patented it,
about Tesla.
man. Patented it. Be able to generate enough energy to topple buildings.
Well,
Yikes.
that is terrifying.
Right?
I will say there's sort of middle ground
Pretty
between
metal.
crazy over-the-air wireless charging and just stuck on a pad. There's something that's like magnetic resonance, which allows it to kind of jump off like a feet or two. And the idea being like you could have a charging plate on the base of your garage. You drive your EV car right over it, and then when you park in the garage, it automatically starts charging
Nice.
without having to plug anything in.
Yeah, I'm like the plug can be cumbersome. It's not like I have an electronic vehicle or anything, but
Right.
you have to like install it. You have to plug it in every night. Having something that's a little bit simpler than that might be better.
So I spoke to a company called Whitetricity a year ago, and they mentioned that they were shooting for cars in 2020 to have that capability.
Gnarly.
So yeah,
As
Not that far
someone,
away.
gnarly.
as someone who's worked in audio engineering for 15 plus years,
Yep.
kill all the cables.
Yeah.
yeah, I hear you.
More questions. Megan Moyer, will Apple be able to equal Android's wireless charging?
I think that's the goal.
That's
with
the plan.
that's
Especially
the
with
the
air
plan
power.
is
Goal
that-
of nothing. Are they going to do it?
Yes, because I think the whole Apple is basing its wireless charging technology off of this Qi standard, and so basically, it's as soon as it catches up to the Qi standard, which Samsung already kind of had a head start on, and made some tweaks to go a little bit faster. But as soon as they catch up to like sort of where the standard is gonna be, I think they're all gonna be comparable after a while.
And then, in addition to that, Jessica mentions in her story that the expectation is that these wireless charging capabilities, especially the Qi standard, are eventually going to meet and then surpass wired technology,
Right.
which I think is pretty interesting.
But that's not for a little while, right? I mean,
No, it's not like an immediate goal or anything like that. But once you actually can do better than wired, that's when I think customers start to pay a lot more attention to it.
Right now, the Qi standard is for 15 watts. Soon we'll be able to get 40 watts. So that's a lot of watts.
I guess so.
So why don't we talk about space, or as Tim Curry in Command and Conquer said, space. Wild Dreams says this was disappointing. Falcon Heavy launch is such a failure because they lost their core booster. Utter failure. That's pretty strong language.
Wow.
Joy Johnson saying, did you guys find it odd and disappointing that SpaceX kept quiet about the core booster landing failure and the command center audio of its loss went viral? So what is our takeaway from this? Does this stain the entire process? Because I think by and large, we're calling this a success.
Yeah. I mean, losing the core booster is not ideal, but I mean, it was a successful launch regardless. And this is probably one of the more significant launches in decades, right? We haven't had anything this ambitious for a long time.
Nope.
Yeah, not only that, but like SpaceX has also had complete failures in trying to do different launches. So this was obviously, I would probably say this is a positive takeaway for them. And when you're doing something like this that is so cutting edge, there is an expectation that it's not all going to work perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we were talking earlier about a little Hitchhiker's Easter egg.
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up right now of Starman. Ben, would you like to enlighten us on what you were referencing?
Starman?
Yeah.
There's a YouTube video right now of just a live feed of a dummy in the Tesla that you can see in outer space, just kind of hanging out. And there were over 100,000 people watching this last night. Now it's trickled down to 15,000 people. But if you're, kind of bored and want to hang out with Starman in outer space, you can now.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of peaceful.
Yeah.
Little zen.
It's very
Look at that.
zen.
Yeah.
Are you seeing? I just caught. Okay, now I'm getting another advertisement, but
For babies.
I just saw him just go by the beautiful Mother Earth right there.
There it is.
So
Yeah,
it's
well, we're
kinda
seeing it
cool.
on screen
But-
right
We're
now.
seeing it on YouTube right now.
Let's go and point out just low of dead center on the screen, right in the middle of the dashboard where the control panel would be. What's that phrase, Ben?
Don't panic.
Oh, hitchhikers.
I haven't read it.
Wait, what? Well, you haven't read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No,
Oh
I
my
haven't.
God, I have to go home and just give you the book.
I have the book.
Give you
I
all-
just haven't.
You have
read
the
it
book?
yet.
Oh my
I have
God.
the book. I have the book. I cracked it open and got as far as like.
I mean, I feel like it would be perfect for your sense of humor.
there was
your
something
sensibility.
about like always have a towel with you, and
Yeah,
I was like,
always
this
have
is
a towel.
silly. This is too
That's
silly.
practical advice, man.
It is
Just always
practical.
have a towel. I mean, I have a towel with me right now.
So Matthew Datcher's concerned over Starman.
Spaceman.
Are we tracking him? How are we sure that won't become space debris? Like, could it punch a hole in the ISS?
Oh, that's a great question.
Isn't he
We-
connected? Isn't he connected?
The
to
International
something?
Space Station has incurred a car accident.
I know. I
should-
mean, it's attached to the rocket, or it's attached to the rocket. Like,
So
if-
it's
That's what I
it's
thought,
in its
yeah.
own orbit path, which has likely been pre-programmed 1,000 times over
Yeah.
to avoid any other potential
Yeah, yeah.
paths that are programmed up there.
Yes, I would hope so.
or at some
Jeez.
point does it just get released? It just like goes off.
We need a
That's
live
very-
stream cutaway to Elon Musk's face. Just
Have you ever watched Heavy Metal?
No.
The opening of that, it's like an animated movie, but the opening scene of it is like an astronaut driving like a convertible,
yeah.
and it lands, and it's like, this is very much like, I feel like very Heavy Metal vibe to it.
Right.
Oh,
the next
totally.
thing,
Yeah.
the next thing that Musk needs to launch into outer space is a giant flying turtle, because that would just like make everybody on acid be like, "Wait a minute, what?"
That is is that the Hitchhiker's reference or is that a Stephen King reference?
It's I don't even know. It's like a reference to some like tapestries that I've seen on Hayden Ashbury.
Oh,
Okay.
What? You've
That-
never seen flying turtle in outer space?
yeah. I thought that was some sort of reference to like.
I don't know what the direct reference
I
is.
thought that was a music reference, but I don't know.
For what it's worth, Roger, you get bonus points today for referencing Heavy Metal. That one is one of my favorites of all time. It is gnarly as hell. It is dark.
crazy.
It is evil. And you know who it's from?
No.
Kevin Eastman of Ninja Turtle fame.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a collection of short stories based around characters that were developed in his heavy metal magazine. If no one's ever seen it, for what it's worth,
yeah.
it's super not safe for work, super not safe for
Yeah.
anybody under the age of like 40. It's,
Yeah.
it is animated, but it is one of those like super dark, super adult
And
cartoons.
speaking of Ninja
Borderlines.
Turtles, by the way, they're apparently making an appearance in the new Injustice 2
I
game.
was literally just watching that trailer before
Yeah.
we walked over here to the
Yeah,
studio. Shall I go ahead and bring it up?
Sure,
Let's
why
take
not?
A look. Hang on,
Whoa.
give me a second.
Talking about outer space has really
We've gone from-
resulted in
yeah.
crazy
We've
side
gone to some
conversations.
interesting tangents here.
Come on, who's not excited about this?
I'm quasi excited only because I'm a big Turtles fan, but
The game.
I also haven't
dope.
played a proper video game since my kid was born, so it's hard to get excited about console games now.
Oh, come on. This looks really, really fun. And those Injustice games are solid. In
They
general.
are. I've played them. I played the earlier ones, but I haven't played Injustice 2.
I haven't yet either. But
I've
I'm
played it a
stoked.
little.
Just as a geeky turtle fan, the kid who grew up in the 80s.
Oh, that's not true. You know what? I did play. Well, we did play Cuphead and Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I played one round of it and got my butt kicked. So that was my limited experience here in the office with console gaming.
I'm only playing, I just started playing Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on sale for like $5 the other day.
Who?
I heard mixed reviews about it, so I waited.
So how much? $5?
It was $5. I think it was a flash sale, so it's gone.
Nice.
Are the Ninja Turtles part of the DC universe?
No, not
No.
officially, but as of late, there's been a lot of crossovers. There's rumors that there's going to be a Batman Ninja Turtle movie because they've already done
What?
3 Batman Ninja Turtle comic book crossovers with the current incantations
No,
at
I
IDW
can't
Publishing.
see that.
Batman is way too dark to have Ninja Turtles.
No, Ninja Turtles can be dark.
Yeah, it's
They
been dark.
They can. They can.
It
do the
started
thing.
dark.
Yeah.
It started darker than Batman.
Okay, so by the way, anybody that's checking into the podcast right now, we started by talking about wireless charging and
have
outer
digressed.
space.
Somehow
we
got
have
to
heavily
Hitchhiker's
digressed.
Guide, then Heavy Metal,
It's pretty clear.
then Ninja Turtles. And
Pretty
now
clear
Injustice 2.
Starman had a very strong influence on this conversation.
Hey, we're excited
Absolutely.
again. We should be excited again.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm going one last skim across the questions to see if there's anything good to keep the conversation going, but we are just about out of time. What else we've got coming up that we might want to mention?
Want to tease Dara Kerr is still in the Uber-Waymo trial, so she's
expected to go
she's
on for
here.
3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. She's there now for day 3. You can expect a story in a few hours once the session wraps up, but she's already in the trial, tweeting away if you want to follow her for any updates on the courtroom drama there. But yeah, and definitely check out Ken German's piece on the knowledge. This is part 1 of a 2-part series. He's going to have a second part tomorrow, kind of looking at some of the technology. But it's just fascinating the lengths that London cab drivers have to go to actually qualify to become a London cab driver.
Mhm.
It literally takes years, and you basically have to memorize all of central London, which is crazy.
Yeah, it requires an insane amount of spatial intelligence to
I can
really
do it.
do that.
I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it? Yeah. I bet you those cabbies are probably really good at chess because
Oh, yeah.
when you have that level of spatial intelligence, usually it can, track over into other things.
But you could see why those drivers would be a little bit resentful of Uber drivers who basically just, your only qualification is you've got a phone.
Yeah, that's one of the issues that I think a lot of people have with those ride-hailing services.
Yep.
Is that they've just completely circumvented a lot of the other regulations. So
There you go.
yeah, I mean, look, we'll see how the Uber trial goes. If it doesn't go Uber's way, it could have significant impact, as we said yesterday, on their autonomous driving efforts. And yeah, we'll keep a very close eye on that trial.
One thing that I was trying to allude to that you guys completely missed on is what's coming up in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Little thing, a little show. Our 359th episode, which
Which is an absolutely arbitrary number when it really comes down to
Yeah.
everything we do on a
Yeah,
regular
Yeah,
but
we-
somehow we made it to 359. So.
that's true. We made it to, that number of episodes is pretty impressive.
Mhm. Thanks to the audience.
Thanks
Of
to you
course.
guys.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be doing a very, very extra special, extra long episode. It'll be 3 hours and 59 minutes. Starts around the same time as usual, 11 a.m. Eastern. But we'll run 4 hours, and we'll be on YouTube Live, Facebook, live stream, Periscope, all the usual places. And it's going to be crazy. We're going to be partnering with a a nonprofit called mouse.org, which is focusing on STEM education for kids and helping to improve diversity in tech. So totally worthwhile cause. But we're gonna be talking about that, and we're gonna be hanging out with a lot of your favorites, the regulars. Scott Stein, Dan Ackerman, Katzmeyer.
Yeah.
So
get ready for your
all
TV
the CNET
questions.
guys, all the experts. So get all your questions that we can't answer ready, since we'll actually have real experts on hand to talk about all these things, gadgets, tech issues, all that stuff. I mean, we got 4 hours to kill, so
when is
talking
it?
a lot.
It's Wednesday, February
21st.
21st.
Yeah, tell your friends, and we'll try to get a schedule up so you can get kind of a ballpark idea of what
Yep.
we're laying out, because we'll have a revolving door of the guests coming in and out throughout the day, and I'm going to have a pee bottle underneath the desk because I won't be able to leave.
Yeah. Sorry about that,
will.
man.
So, yeah, we're looking
okay.
forward to having everybody along. Thanks for all the yucks so far.
Yeah, this has been great.
Super fun to do, and yeah, we hope to see you, every day up until and beyond, but especially on the 21st.
Yep.
And on that note,
All right. On that
Go
note,
for it.
If you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Our podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Feedburner, Google Play Music, and the Amazon Echo.
And CNET.com. Sorry, I can't.
just have to. Thanks,
You just
Alfred.
have
I'll
to.
stop
Yeah.
doing it eventually.
All right.
Take care, everybody. See you soon.
See y'all tomorrow.